It is 11 o'clock. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Today, we have a very special guest, Lily Nguyen. Lily is a manifestation coach. She just recently changed her name from Jennifer to Lily, so I'm still getting used to it as well as she is. She is a manifestation coach with Bob Proctor. If you don't know who Bob Proctor is, he's also a manifestation coach, and you can catch him from all his books that he's written. And also, he was featured in the 2006 film, The Secret. So look him up. And so without further ado, Lily is going to be introducing to us the process of manifestation. Lily, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, so recently I have changed my name from Jen to Lily. So the process, that reason was really just because of like this whole rebirth for me. So thank you for having me. Today I'm going to be sharing really what the process of manifestation is. What really manifestation is it's become this really big buzzword that everyone is using, like, oh, I'm going to manifest this and I'm going to manifest that. But realizing that manifestation is really just you are consciously always, or you are always manifesting, because everything that is in your physical reality is a manifestation of what you have thought. So everything is created twice, once in your imagination and once again in the physical reality. And there are so many different ways to really look at manifestation, but the most simplest way to really, I guess, simplify the process is a 4-step process that I really believe in. It's the simplest way to think of it. What you think about, you become. What you internalize and feel is what you attract. So I know we talk about Bob Proctor, and he's known for the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. One thing about The Secret that is really not clear is, although the law of attraction is a universal law, the more important primary law is the law of vibration. So what you're feeling. We talk about vibration and how we feel, and that's what we attract. Lastly, or the 3rd step is, what are you doing? So the do is really that action. And I say that in a very light form, in saying that as long as you are creating the right habits, taking the inspired action, you're always going to manifest what you want. But it's not about really going and always doing, but also doing it from a place of intention. And then the last step that now a lot of people talk about in regards to manifestation is surrendering. So that is a really big one. And I think that's like a surprising one for people. And you even actually mentioned it in your book, John, is detaching from the outcome. So one thing I always really want people to understand about manifestation is that you do have to detach from that outcome, because in that scenario, you are really putting your faith and your belief into that manifestation that it is coming for you. So really, how do you do that? You actually really have to create a belief system. You have to create a paradigm. You have to create an unwavering faith, which is another one of your points, that thing that you're calling in is meant for you. That if you're applying it to real estate, that deal that is supposed to happen is meant for you. So that is my 4-step process, which is, what are you thinking, right? Declaring it to the universe, making a decision. How are you feeling about it, right? Because the feeling creates the fact. The feeling is the secret for attraction. The feeling is the vibration that you're in and the frequency that you're in to manifest what you want. What are you doing? What inspired actions have you created? What habits have you formed? And then lastly, it's that surrendering part, truly believing in the divine timing of things, truly believing and having this unwavering faith that it's meant for you, and a belief, not only a belief in the universe, but a belief in yourself. So that is my 4-step process.
It's really quite simple, Lily, and yet we mess it up all the time. So talk a little bit about why people always divert to or default to the negative and manifest in such a negative fashion all the time. And they're wondering why this keeps happening over and over and over again. Why?
Yeah. So it's called what is known as our paradigm. So it's not a mainstream word, but it's a word that's becoming so commonly known. So your paradigm is your multitude of habits and truthfully your belief system. So this is something that is programmed through cultural conditioning, your ancestral conditioning, your family habits, the things that have happened, realizing that everything is energy and every situation that you've ever been in has an emotional impact on you. And so being able to actually recognize those emotional impacts allows you to take them from your subconscious, move them into your conscious mind, and then detach from it so that you can actually move forward. So as you mentioned, things such as fear. Why is fear created? Fear is created to keep us safe within our comfort zone. And really, why we are continuing to live in our comfort zone is because of our paradigms that we continue to live that same habit, that same day, that same pattern, that same belief. And that's really what our paradigm does. And that's why fear is created. That's why anxiety is created as well. Anxiety is created because you're at dis-ease with the thought of your future.
Got it. So with fear, anxiety, it's a feeling of dis-ease thinking about the future. Now, and it's caused by the paradigm. So how do we change the paradigm, so to speak?
So think about it this way. You have been conditioned all your life for so long, let's say 20, 30 years, to think a certain thing. And there's only two ways to actually change your paradigm. And that is one, through an emotional impact. So it has to either be so crazy and so like impactful in either a positive or negative way that you're like, I'm going to have to change this. And then the second one is constant spaced repetition. So affirmations, habits, reprogramming yourself. And really how to do that is actually changing your level of awareness to actually change your patterns, your belief systems, and what you're doing right now.
Gotcha. So repetition, and obviously that's something that you coach on, right? To be able to help people switch their paradigm from a negative paradigm to a positive paradigm, and therefore attract better and greater things, more abundant things into our life.
Exactly.
Perfect. Actually, I just came across this question before we got on the call, and I think this is perfect for today. One of the agents reached out and he said, hey, we're trying to help one of our colleagues. This is what he says. How come every purchaser that I'm running into, every single purchaser that I'm running into are unrealistic in their expectations? They're always looking at properties that are, this, but then they want to pay this. How come every one of my buyers are like that? And I want to say, okay, well, it's a law of attraction, but I could just say that all day, but how do you make people understand that they're attracting that?
Okay, so this is two parts to that. So we have what is called a self-image. So our self-image, if you really, really look at it, is like a thermostat, right? So whatever is going on inside is a reflection on what's going on outside. So that comes down to what's happening within him that is manifesting those type of clients, that's attracting those type of clients. So really, I always talk to clients about this, like your soul, your spirit having the human experience. And a part of that human experience is actually you continue to have the same experiences until you learn, until you create a level of awareness to change that. So he's recognizing now. And so now he has to go internally and say, okay, how am I marketing myself? Right? Well, how am I marketing? Like, that's the way he can look at it. How am I marketing myself to attract these type of clients?
Interesting. But you need to be aware. So now he is aware because he's come into this obstacle of, oh, wow, every single buyer is like this. So once you're aware, then what's next?
So I always say, this is like one of my favorite quotes, is awareness is the greatest agent of change. So when you become aware of when, for example, your self-image is actually programmed to always bring you back to the place that you were programmed. So for example, like a thermostat, when it gets hot, it's gonna always go back to that certain temperature that you've already programmed it at.
Right.
So just like a computer, you have to reprogram it. So you reprogram it in the sense of like, okay, what am I saying about myself in that self-image and what am I attracting, right? So now that he's had that level of awareness, he's going to either have to change how he feels inside to attract differently. And what you attract differently, how you feel inside, is always going to manifest how you show up, how you talk to people, how you dress, like those things, that even how you walk even.
So guys, it's always about how you feel. It's what you will attract. And so after you have that awareness, you have to think about your self-image and what are you thinking about? What are you feeling? And the language that he put out there was, oh my gosh, every single buyer. You see, like right away, that's like, what are you creating even with your words? And those words with emotion is what he's attracting even more of. So what would you be what would you advise that agent to say to himself going forward?
I think for that, okay, so we know that words cast a spell. And so if you
I didn't know
continue,
that, but okay.
well, your words create your world, for example.
Okay.
But words cast a spell. They truly do. So,
Wow.
I will have clients that are like, oh, I'm just so disorganized. I'm so disorganized. Well, you keep on perpetuating that same thing because that's what you're saying. So when you actually create your world and you create your day and everything from the outside, inside out, you actually need to go and spend some time on creating those intentions, creating those rituals, creating those habits that will actually allow you to live your life from the inside out.
Inside out. Inside out. That's the most important part here, guys. Everything on the outside, circumstances, whatever it is, person, people and things and circumstances, those are on the outside. But you attracted those through inside. Now, when we visualize daily on the positive stuff, the stuff that we want, I used to always just visualize, see the picture, and I'm like, okay, great. And I've done my visualization. Now I've learned that in order to raise your vibration, you have to really feel it. How would you coach us to feel our visualizations more?
Oh, this is like the feeling is in the secret. Like that is truly the biggest thing when it comes to manifestation, is asking yourself, are you truly emotionally involved with your goal? Are you truly emotionally involved with your visualization? When you're there, do you feel that already exists? Because if you feel that it already exists, it's on its way.
Ooh. I like you to repeat that once again. So you said if you're emotionally involved with your goal, right, then you can attract better, correct? So
Yeah.
guys, are you emotionally attached to your goal? Like how bad do you want your goal? We talk about this in the doing world. It's like, how bad do you want your goal? Let's go get it. More of a forceful way, of course. So I think it's aligned with what you're saying though. If you're not emotionally connected to your goal, why would you be inspired to then come out of the visualization and take action? Right? So how would you then advise people to find out what their goals are, their why?
So this is like the biggest thing is sometimes people don't even have goals that are truly their goals. And that comes down to knowing who you are. It comes down to knowing and studying who you are at your core. So sometimes we'll take goals, we'll create goals that maybe have been programmed through our parents, through the people around us, through comparing yourself. Oh my gosh, that person has this, I want that. But when you're actually creating from a place that is truly, truly who you are, you become attached to that. Because one of the things that you learn really is understanding that everything is about that heart-centered goal. It's like if you feel like that's what you want, if you really, really wanted to like live on an island and live in peace and stuff like that, that's your goal. That's what you're going to be emotionally involved with, as opposed to feeling like, okay, well, everyone has a multi-million-dollar home and I want that. And, that's because you're working in a place of comparison as opposed to a place of creation, a creation of who you're meant to be.
Ooh, okay. Let's repeat that once again. You're creating up from a place of a creation versus comparison. You're making goals. Are you making goals from comparison with others? Or are you making goals from creation, which comes from within, what truly inspires you? So I would advise people to always write down 20 reasons why they want their goal, to get down to the core. And if, most of the reasons are ego or comparison, then that's not really your goal. What would you advise to dig even deeper on that? Because that's what I do.
I think this is a really, really fun exercise. And I hope that everyone understands that when you're working from a place of joy and love and like all of that, this is where you're going to allow yourself to really come through from that heart center, is like allow yourself to create dreams that are really, really big. Like do like a 50 list of 50 things that you truly, truly want, and a list of 50 things that you truly want personally and professionally. Because then you're going to come to the answer of what it is that you're emotionally involved with. Right.
There you go,
so
Jack.
it's
I think that
dreaming big.
Jack, that does that answer your question, Jack? Yeah, you got to dream big, right? And recently, well, I think last call we talked about complacency, meaning like I'm just okay with status quo. I'm not inspired to take any more actions. I'm okay with where I'm at. How would you get someone to be more inspired?
Ooh. All right, that comes down to that emotional involvement. That comes down to that goal. So, with Bob Proctor, for example, he makes us carry around a goal card. So we carry this around everywhere, right? Because it is a reminder. It's like plugging into our subconscious, into our soul, into our heart of what we want. So when you see that, you're already emotionally involved with it, and you're going to take that inspired action. You're going to show up. Right. And that's the thing about inspired action. It doesn't come from a place of always doing. It comes from a place of inspired action, knowing that you doing what you do, you've made a decision that this is enough, and that is enough. That's how the law of attraction works. And that's really how surrendering works as well. Is surrendering is saying that me doing the things I've decided on is enough. A lot of times why people overexert themselves is because they don't feel like it's enough. They don't feel like they're enough, right? So it does come down to that. So being really, really emotionally involved with your goal. So for us, for like anyone within Thinking into Results or who's coached with Bob Proctor, we carry our goal cards around because it's that emotional involvement. It's like, whenever you're going through your person, you find it, and you're like, okay, I gotta move forward. I got to do the things I said I was going to do.
I guess before we get involved with your coaching, guys, just make sure to do the small things that she already suggested, is carry your goal around. And this goal, you got to be so inspired, every single day when you look at like, wow, this is my goal, and I'm getting after it. I'm getting after it. Right now, so we intend on a goal, we visualize a goal, and we try to track the goal. Talk more about the, you and I talk about this, is surrendering. So how would you suggest that we surrender?
This is funny because I feel like realtors have a very hard time surrendering, right?
You're right.
Right? You want to control everything. So the thing about surrender, it comes down to your faith, not only in the universe, but in yourself. What's meant for you is meant for you, and your belief. And so belief is created through actualizing things and like seeing things happen. And so from a spiritual side, is when I think things are falling apart, I ask for a sign, and it always appears. Ooh. And so it's very powerful. I love this exercise. Is choose the sign within the universe and say, this is my sign. And then the universe is always conspiring to give you what you want. You just have to believe. And I talked about this because there's such a balance between the divine masculine, divine feminine, and saying like, okay, masculine is like going and doing and doing and doing. Yep. And I don't know if you understand, sometimes when you feel like you're always doing, things are sometimes falling apart because you're forcing. And then there's that flow where you're actually aligning, you're calling in all the right people, the right partners, the right business, like that, it just comes and falls into place. So there is truly a balance of both to create prosperity, to create purpose, to create movement and flow into your life. And so finding the balance of both is so important because we're a manifestation of both.
It's tough though, right? Because Jack, Tsai and I were just talking about this the other day. You know, we've been programmed to take so many actions in a day and just be busy, 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 always almost forcing an outcome because we've had success doing it, right? So how do we balance the fact that we can actually surrender more and have it come more? And the thought that we have is like, it can't be that easy. It can't be that easy. Now, Lily, what would you say to that?
That's your programming.
Ah,
That is what manifests. That's literally your programming, right? That is truly what you believe, and what
yeah.
you believe creates the fact. So that's what you've been programmed with, and that's how you're going to continue doing your days unless you choose differently, unless you say, okay, I'm going to have a different paradigm. And so what do? You have to actually think, okay, today is going to be super easy and effortless, and this is what's going to happen. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to get a deal today. Like, I'm going to get whatever I'm looking for today. Do the inspired action. Maybe that inspired action is actually not doing anything. And then you surrender, right? But you're creating this belief.
Well, I think that's tough for most of us, right? Okay, let me just like sit there, meditate, and attract this. And today's going to be easy and effortless, and then the deal's going to come. You know how hard it is to believe that?
That's
What
your
would you say
belief,
to,
though.
that's right. Okay. So I'm just being devil's advocate because I'm always in the programming of, if it's to be, it's up to me. That's my programming. So I'm like, okay, well, let's go and get it. Now it's like I'm attracting more of this stuff, which is like, if it's meant to be, you let it happen. You let it happen. So how would you help us rip that programming apart, Lily?
So this is where it comes down to like those habits that you say for yourself, right? Like, there's a difference between habits and then going and doing. So if
Mm,
you create this habit where you're like, these are the two habits I want to create. So like, for you guys, it's those calls, like banging out those calls. If you love doing it, right? If you actually find joy in doing it, that's different from actually doing it and not finding joy in doing it.
mm,
Right. So I know, as much as let's say you have to make 20 calls a day, those 20 calls will be very different from the energy that you put behind it.
mm.
I got to get like a sale from this call, or I'm going to do these because I actually enjoy doing it. But the thing
Okay.
about habits and the thing about success is actually created from doing the things that other people don't want to do.
Yes.
Right. So let's say for you, you've said that, well, I'm building my success from being a beast, right?
Right.
So very much then, what does that embody? What's your self-image in that? You're going to keep doing that. But there's actually a part of balancing out your allowing things to flow. And I really think that it's really important to understand that life is about social experience, or about experiences, and actually experiencing yourself and trying to see what happens when you actually have made a decision, right? That's that thinking part. Made a decision. I'm going to try this week and not do all those things and see what happens. I'm going to feel it like, okay, everything's going to happen the way it's supposed to. I'm going to think about it before, feel it, do the inspired action. Okay, that's very important in terms of manifestation. You can't sit and meditate all day. You do have to take inspired action. But the reason why I say that is you might not be doing deals through calls. You might get deals through referrals. You're opening the possibilities of how things can come to you when you surrender. That's a really big thing. So if you're always in the doing, you're not opening your realm of possibilities to the way things can come through.
So a lot of times and thank you for that, because a lot of times we as realtors, we always are attached to how it's going to happen. If I make these calls, I'm going to have a direct result from these calls to set appointments, to go on appointments, to sign contracts. And then we are so focused in that we are not open to the possibility of other sources that may come, because we're so stubborn at it. That's why I tell realtors a lot of times, okay, you can make calls, you can door knock, you can go network, you can do social media, but whatever inspires you, to take action is the one that you should take. Now, but I do always get this, don't we have to take actions that do the things that we don't want to do, don't like to do, to get outside of our comfort zone, right? To become successful. What do you say to that?
Programming. It comes down to that programming.
I am so
Finding
deeply
joy in
programmed.
it.
I'm seeing it now. I'm so deeply programmed that that's my programming. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going in circles. Okay. Let's get out of that. Okay. Tell us, we have 5 minutes left. Tell us a little bit about how your coaching works and how you help people break out of that program and start to really manifest the things that they want.
Yeah. So the biggest thing, so I coach a program called Thinking into Results. I do it from a very spiritual aspect. So it is a program that is developed by Bob Proctor. It's over 150 years of basic success building mechanisms. And it's very much from understanding what are the habits people do to create success. How I coach people is more on the spiritual side because we do live on 3 planes of understanding. So we live in our physical body, we live in our mind, and then we live in our spirit. The reason why I've chosen to do that is because I like to live my life from the end result. The end result is your spiritual side, is your highest self, right? Like your place where you are living in joy and gratitude and never in comparison. It's all about creation. So really what I do to help people do or move through that is to actually live from their end result. So really living from that place, you're always going to show up in your best manner. You're going to always do things from your heart, your soul, and really defining their own level of success. Because success is really different for everyone and it will look different for everyone. But really one thing that Earl Nightingale says is success is the realization of a worthy ideal. And that all comes down to where are you going? What are you moving towards? What type of impact you are looking to make? So that's one opportunity that I would definitely encourage realtors to look at because Thinking into Results was specifically designed for corporate America. Anyone within a business, within a sales environment that are looking to create results from their end result, thinking into results. I also have a course called Divinely Guided that I am launching. And this is really very different in the sense of how people can actually really get to their purpose. Because one of the biggest things for me was I didn't know what my purpose was. And once I actually began studying me, doing the healing work, doing the inner work, I was able to really change how I show up and really feel like I could be myself, i.e. changing my name to Lily.
Yeah, rebirth. There you go. Wow. Okay. So how do we get a hold of you? What's the best platform to reach you on?
I spend most of my time on Instagram. So if anyone wants to follow me or reach out to me, my Instagram is thismustbelily. Or you can reach out to me on my website at thismustbeit.ca.
Awesome. And you run a Clubhouse Chat for realtors. When does that happen? And what do you talk about?
So yes, we run a Clubhouse Chat. It is on Fridays now at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's called Mindset and Manifestation for Realtors. So this is really where we just go into specific topics when it comes to manifestation. I do go into interesting stories about spirituality. So if you are open to expanding your level of consciousness, understanding different things such as like, oh, what are these angel numbers I'm seeing? Or how do I manifest? That's the room that we host just to really help tap into that spiritual side because we are all spiritual beings.
We're all spiritual beings, guys. Friday, 9:30, reach out to Lily on Instagram. Lily, thank you so much for today. One last piece of advice to have us let it happen this week.
Okay. So this is like I already said this, but awareness is the greatest agent of change. So if you are in a situation where it feels like it's super stressful or you are not managing that situation or whatever you want to surrender, you have to ask yourself, are you aware of what's happening? When you create awareness, you detach from the outcome, you detach from the situation, and you actually allow yourself to look at everything from a different perspective. And so that is really a big thing for people, is actually being able to create that level of awareness of how they are going about that, what type of energy that they're putting towards that situation, and really, really honestly living from your end result.
There you go. Detach from the outcome and be the observer, and awareness is the key. Lily, thank you so much for today. I feel like I could talk about this all day about manifestation, but we will catch you on Clubhouse Friday, 9:30. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lily.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye.
day.
Have a good day.
Bye.